All right. Hello, 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 everyone, and welcome to the next run as part of the SNES Super Stars Marathon. We've got a really exciting one here, Super Metroid 100% Item Collection Showcase. So we're going to have four different routes that are possible through this game to collect all 100 items contained within. I'm Glove, and I'm joined here by Kevnastics. Kevnastics, how are you?
I'm doing pretty awesome this morning, Glove, and thank you so much for being here and doing comms. I'm so happy to be doing comms with you. You're one of my favorite commentators, and both of us have a lot of experience with Hundo and the differences in routing that we're going to see. Honestly, I don't run any of these routes. So the closest route I run is like Fat Scott. I run a very similar route to Fat Scott, except he'll be doing something a little bit extra. So each of our runners today have something very special with the routes that they're going to do. So this is a great showcase. We have top-notch movement, really cool tech coming up, and right now we're just going to try to get off the series.
Yeah, absolutely. So this first section of the game, Series Station, it's essentially the basic movement tutorial for the game. Uh, it has a lot of RNG in it, and runners grind it really hard because anytime a timer shows up in a speed game, runners are going to spend way too much time on it. But it's not overly consequential to the run as a whole. So I think we can go a little bit right now into what these various item collection routes are. Starting with Professor School in the bottom right, we'll be running perhaps the most quote-unquote standard route. He will be running the world record route of 100% late croc. Um, Essentially, to do a 100% route fairly early on in the game, you either need to collect Ice Beam or Grapple Beam, and Professor School will be opting to collect Ice Beam. That specifically allows him to access Spring Ball using a glitch that um, allows us to bypass the need for Grapple. All three other runners will instead be going to Croc pretty early on and collecting Grapple Beam to access the couple key items that need it. However, the ways that they get there are going to be radically different. Fat Scott does a pretty standard route. He's just going to be getting power bombs earlier than normal. It, which is almost a time neutral choice compared to waiting a little bit longer to get power bombs. It maybe saves a few frames. And then Sesrame and Guy Average have some pretty different routes that we really don't see pretty much ever anyone like run as their main routes. Sesrame is actually going to be foregoing the early Varia suit, which means that he's going to be running through a lot of heated rooms and constantly taking damage that Varia would otherwise protect himself from. And Guy Average is going to be implementing a personal favorite of mine called Moon Dance that's going to allow him to clip through blocks and collect a lot of items early on.
Yeah, I think it's definitely going to be really cool, and we're going to be focusing on each runner as the idiosyncrasies from their route kind of show up. But the first 6 minutes or so, basically all the way to super early supers, is exactly the same as you would see from any other standard route. So it's going to be pretty much the same until we get the route divergence, where Scott will go up Red Tower and collect his early power bombs, and Sasreem will skip crate completely, go to Upper Norfair. I would imagine he's going to collect high jump boots. Sasreem has the most initially volatile route, but also Guy Average can lose a huge chunk of time if he messes up the Moon Dance and Glove. I will absolutely let you on the mic for the Moon Dance, being that that is a big trick for you, and I don't even turn on Moonwalk when I play, so I have not a clue.
uh, yeah, absolutely. So we can describe Moondance a little bit more when we get there in about 2 or 3 minutes. But basically, there's a trick in the game called Moonfall, where we turn on the moonwalk setting in the options menu that allows the player to walk backwards while holding shoot. And an interesting quirk of this game, if Samus jumps off of a ledge while moonwalking backwards, her fall speed, the acceleration, is uncapped. So you can pretty much go as quickly as you have enough time for before landing on the ground. However, if you get yourself stuck in blocks, so you're in a constant state of falling, then you can do a bunch of moonfalls, 176 to be exact, in order to be able to completely clip through some blocks.
Yeah, actually, depending on their speed, that would be the first route divergence, because we're going to see that moonfall right pretty much in the room directly after we get out of early supers, the golden mock ball room. So right now our runners are going to try to take out BT with no decapitation animation, fire out volleys of either 5p shots or one, which basically equals one missile, and you got to wait for some iframes and a little bit some animations, but pretty standard stuff right here. We're going to get an Alcatraz escape and head down Terminator, pick up our first E-Tank. And so 100%, regardless of the route differential here, every single one of our runners is hoping to collect 100% of items. And in Super Metroid, that's pretty easy because there are 100 items. So you have a really good idea if you've missed anything, because it just will count to one, you know, one item, 1%.
Yeah, absolutely. And Super Metroid is different from the 2D Metroid games that would come later. In games like Dread or, I believe, Zero Mission and Fusion, the item percentage doesn't necessarily include major items. However, here, every item counts. So we are picking up everything in the game, even the notorious Spring Ball, which takes a solid chunk of time all by itself.
Yeah, you're going to see not just a variation in routes, but you're going to see a huge variation in play. Susream has extremely crisp, absolutely elite movement, and utilizes damage boost in places that I generally don't see runners using damage boost. So really has a unique way of just getting through rooms. He's a good crafter of strats. Mr. Guy Average is a room grinder, also elite high level play, and really good at getting those low room times, and actually has a 115 hundo. Mr. Guy Average, or 116 or 115. Pretty serious hundo runner, but this is not his route, so this is going to be really interesting. Professor School just got a PB with a 120. Very, very calculating, very knowledgeable with the game. And Fat Scott is a younger runner who's just been playing, just starting out in the last year or two, and doing a very good job. Has a 122, if I remember correctly. So all very, very good hundo times. I don't know what Susream's hundo time is because I've never seen it. Never seen him run hundo, and he has no time posted, but seriously incredible runner. So here we go. We are just, a couple steps away from Moondance Glove. If you want to talk about it, that'll be the first thing we'll really have to highlight here.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're going to want to turn your attention to Guy Average's screen. And first, just really quickly, I would like to talk about a couple of the mechanics that we've seen here so far. You mentioned damage boost earlier. Super Metroid is the only game where damage boost, the only game I know of where damage boost really means something different than just get hit by an enemy. You can actually hold backwards and jump to launch yourself back in this game, which is a great way of moving around. And now we do see Guy Average getting himself stuck in those blocks, and he's setting up for the moon dance. He has to do, I believe, 40 moonfalls from left to right first. Otherwise, he'll fall out of the blocks, and then from there, he will be able to. Looks like its feed might have cut out a little bit. Yeah, after doing the left to right moonfalls, he will be able to get himself in a position to where he can do moonfalls in both directions until he does reach that golden number of 176. And you will know that that's happened when he actually gets pushed downwards into the floor. Basically, what's going to happen is that his fall speed is so high that once he's finished moon dancing, he is going to go airborne, and then one frame he'll be above the blocks he wants to get through, and the next frame he'll already have fallen so far that he is below the blocks, so he just sort of phases through them.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Glove, but once he completes the moon dance here, he cannot leave the ground until he, executes where he wants to, or he'll have to do this all over again.
Yeah, absolutely. That is one of the big dangers. That's why you saw him take a lot of care entering the room to get rid of all the enemies in this room. If he were hit by any of the enemies, or if he accidentally jumped or anything like that, he would have to do the moon dance all over again. And as you can see, it's a very time-consuming trick, especially since right now he is definitely playing it a little bit safer. Moon dance, I always like to say, it's a trick that's so easy that you could teach it to somebody who's never played the game before, but to execute it in a reasonable amount of time is incredibly difficult. The skill ceiling is about as high as you can move your hands. And Mr. Guy Average did complete it, and now he has made it through all of the blocks. So with this, he's going to be able to access power bombs earlier than any runner, even Fat Scott, who just accessed the so-called fast power or the early power bombs.
And just to jump right ahead, so we've got, those route deviations happening quick. Prof is going to try to get a quick kill on Trade using some nice iframes there for lag reduction. Susream's going to take a save. Susream is going to start the very first of his hell runs. So Susream, without Varia's suit, is going to have to enter the heated areas of Upper Norfair to collect some items without any protection from the heat. So hopefully his reserves are full. We have a safety save, and this is pretty tight with 2 E-tanks and 1 reserves. This is basically, just about as tight as you can do these hell runs. So we're in the Cathedral right now, go through Rising Tide, and then you get a little moment of respite when you get to Bubble Mountain. Bubble Mountain is a non-heated area, so Susream's going to go top route for Rising Tide, handling it very well. Going to get out of here with absolutely no trouble. Extremely well executed first hell run by Susream.
Very nicely done.
And it makes me really happy to see Susream taking safety saves during a race. Anybody that watched our multi-extension category tournament knows that Susream is just absolutely just crazy, just runs so fearless and powerful. It's incredible to see. So feast your eyes on this. We're going to get a little bit of farming from Susream. Please make it through here.
Not okay.
That cave is scary.
He does not have much at all in his reserves.
That's a good thing he made it through Rising Tide, no problem, but we'll probably have to farm a little bit before he makes a good run at the Bat Cave.
Yeah, he doesn't necessarily have to farm. He can just manually fill his reserves. However, even then, it's still really tight.
I don't like to enter the Bat Cave with any less than 80 energy. It can be done with less, but I don't personally like to try it with less.
Oh, and that big health drop there was pretty crucial. So nicely done. Susream is kind of through the worst of it now. He has one more pretty scary hell run. That's not necessarily as difficult, maybe, but it has so many more ways in which you can mess up and just eat 60 damage.
Also mentioning, while Susream is farming and going through his speed area of the hell run, Mr. Guy Average can clean up, now that he did the trick in Eddie Coon's The Moon Dance. He can clean up every single item in Big Pink because he has power bombs, every item except for Waterway. And this is one of the reasons why Moon Dance is not a more popular hundo route, because you still have to come back to Big Pink to retrieve the E-Tank at Waterway. But because of that power bomb access that Guy Average has, he can do some of the things in Norfair that Fat Scott is doing with the early power bombs, but also gets to clean up a substantially larger amount of items in Big Pink much earlier than our other runners will be able to. Wow, 8 entered. Come on, get good drops here. Oh. Even positive use wouldn't have helped that.
Yeah. Another thing to point out, you just saw Professor Skull collect a missile tank here in Norfair. Because the Hell Run route is so tight, Sisraim actually cannot pick that up now, and he's going to be getting that missile tank much later in the run. If he were able to incorporate that immediately, the Hell Run route would actually be significantly better. That's actually, it's not the task route anymore, but the route that Sisraim runs now is running right now is very similar to an older task created by CP Adolf.
Yeah, and like we were saying, with the loadout that Sisreem has, this is an incredibly tight hell run here, to do it. So while Sisreem is working that out, Mr. Guy Average seems like he's really far behind the runners, but has cleaned up a significant amount of big pink that our other racers will not get to until later. Professor School picking up Speed Booster, pretty close to where Sisreem is, and Fat Scott is making very, very good work through Upper Norfair. And our routes are not scheduled to converge again for quite some time.
Yeah, I believe we won't see full convergence between all four runners. I think basically until Turian at the very end of the game, because Guy Average puts off Gauntlet until right before going to Turian, since the advantage of Moondance is he doesn't have to do this Brinstar cleanup loop that all of our other runners are going to be doing after Fantoon.
My goodness, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, because you wouldn't have a reason to go to Big Pink that way. It would take much too long. So will Guy Average go and get Waterway directly after coming out of Rex ship?
He
waits
does it
after X-Ray.
Yeah, he's going to do it at the end of the game, right before going and getting those retro Brinstar items.
Okay, so that makes a lot of sense. So he's going to do the swaggy grapple jump there at Green Hill Zone, as Hockey would say.
We'll have to see.
Space jump combo. Either way, this is really cool. So Sisrium looks like he's going to make it out this time. Has significantly more energy coming back into Batcave, so should be okay right now. I don't expect Sisream to have too much more trouble, but we do have that Wave Beam Hell Run, which is really tight on 2 E-Tanks and a reserve, so hopefully his reserves will be filled up. Mr. Guy Average finally making his way to Kraid. Hopefully we'll get a third Kraid quick kill. Professor School skipping Crockemeyer entirely and gonna head straight up in toward Rex ship. So we're going to have our runners in various areas of the game. It looks like Fat Scott and Sisreem could both arrive at Croc at just about a very similar amount of time if Sisreem can survive this hell run.
Yeah, and the hell run's looking good so far. The main concern is just Sisreem never wants to fall down and hit any spikes here.
So this jump that Sisreem is going to do onto the crumble blocks down there, I used to take a hit by the Ripper there because the Ripper only does 10 damage and then use iframes in case I get an accidental spike hit, but it looks like Sisreem got the jump no problem with the quick drop. Extremely well executed. Sisreem should make it out of this no problem, and Fat Scott just a little bit behind. So we can see that without the deaths, earliest Croc, as Sisreem says, is pretty much looks like it's going to be faster, but we have to remember that Sisreem has not done Kraid yet.
Absolutely. And interestingly, because Fat Scott runs early power bombs, Fat Scott and Sisreem have fairly similar Kraid's layers. However, Sisreem will have Speed Booster for Kraid's layer, which none of our other runners do. And that is a big part of the appeal of running this so-called earliest Croc route.
Now, is the difference with Speed Booster versus without like roughly 7 to 12 seconds? Or is it less than that? I know it's not negligible, for sure.
Yeah, it should be. I believe Sisreem has said it's around 7 seconds.
Did you see Guy Average did a golden shower in the can room? Legend. I don't even know why. Probably by accident.
Yeah. It's very easy when you only have one beam here to accidentally do a special beam attack just because you've been holding a charge shot.
Near sync Crocs. And by the way, I do want to mention that I cannot see chat. So if anybody in chat is asking questions, unfortunately, I can't see chat on my mobile device. I'm not ignoring anybody that's there. But that was really, really my guy average. Go ahead.
Played it a little bit close there. That lava does a lot of damage, but he did make it out with 12 energy.
Oof. Unbelievable. So you can see that like Scott obviously has no problem there. So side by side, you can see the difference between having the Varia suit and not having the Varia suit. Like, nice spark from Professor School. And honestly, Glove, it's probably a good idea that we shift our attention to Professor School right now. Professor School is going to be in wreck ship far earlier than any of our other runners. And not only do you have to pay more attention to your health management when you do the route that Prof is doing, because it's significantly more dangerous, but you also have to get the wreck ship E-tank item substantially different than you would in the route that our other runners are running.
Yeah, absolutely. Wreck ship is one of the most difficult segments of Hundo, in my opinion. There are just so many quirks to movement. There are so many rooms where there's not a great room strat, so you have to settle for a good one. Just because it's not necessarily an area that the developers intended for you to get through quickly.
Check that out. We've got Oceanfly from Professor School showing
Very
the
nice.
flag. GG. So and Susreem nailing Indiana Jones. Oh, see, that's what I love about Grapple Beam. That is almost the entire reason I like to run early Croc, because I love Indiana Jones. That's a sweet strat. Basically, where you use the Grapple Beam, it is the hardest intended strat in the game, and I'm not sure that that's as spectacular as Deer Force expected you to do it, but Susreem crushed it just now.
Yeah, you saw Fat Scott there go for the much easier, much safer strategy of just using Speed Booster and getting a speedy jump to jump up to those missiles first. That is slower than the way Susreim did it, but it is much safer, and it allows us to show off the coolest mock ball in the game that Fat Scott just performed.
So actually, Glove, I run RBO simply so that I can do that mock ball, because I do Indiana Jones, so I don't do that mock ball in this category anymore. So I had to run RBO so I could still get a chance to show it off.
Very nice. And Professor School's onto the Fantoon fight now. And he starts off with a fast. Basically, Fantoon chooses how long he wants to wait to open his eye, either a fast, mid, or a slow pattern.
Susreem is
started off with a fast.
Here with this energy. I'm sorry, but holy crap, dude. He's so lucky he made that grapple. This is what I'm talking about. Susreem is crazy, y'all. Like, I would not have gone and done that hell run with less than 3 tanks, and Susreem did it in about 1.5. Sorry to interrupt, but I'm just like, Susreem just makes me gasp. Holy cow.
Yeah, absolutely. So, looks like Prof is going to clean up this Fantoon fight with a fast, slow pattern. Not the most desirable, but a pretty average pattern. And Prof's execution was pretty nice there.
I want to point out what Scott just did right there. If Susreem had missed the grapple the same way Scott did, Susreem would have died and would have been all the way back to pre-wave hell run. So now we're going to see the difference between Susreem's route and Scott's route. Honestly, they would probably be roughly time neutral. We got to remember that Susreem took 2 deaths. So Scott is going to pull ahead of Susreem right now because he's already done Croc. So Scott can head right to wreck ship. Prof is going to do some cleanup here, and Mr. Guy Average is hopefully getting ready for some really cool swag in the Crocomire area. I feel that the Crocomire area is an area you can just lose absolute chunks of time if you don't know what you're doing.
Absolutely. It's 100% item completion as a whole has been referred to as the death by 1,000 cuts. Not only because the run is so long, but because every single room in this route is so developed. It's so easy to just lose a second here or there, and by the time that's all added up, Mr. Guy Average is a top runner, and his time is still roughly 3 minutes behind world record route, and that's just because you can't just sort of get a good time in hundo item completion. You have to grind and perfect every single room in a way that only the top runners are able to. And Professor School just did a really cool room entry to spike your room of death.
Yes. That was pretty optimal, and holy cow, that was incredible. Yeah, I think MGA is top 10. Got to be close to top 10, if not top 10 runner. And just to see the discrepancy between like the top 3 times and almost everybody else on the board. And here's that trick I was talking about with Professor School. He's going to do a double bomb jump. Oop, resetting it right there. The only other way that you can get this is, I believe, by disabling high jump boots and doing a jump. Nice Indiana Jones by Guy Average, by the way. I think you can do it without disabling high jump, but it's really tight.
Yeah, it's either frame perfect or it's close to it. So it's just much safer to go for the bomb jump like Prof did.
So he's blowing open the tube right now, so that's to optimize his entry into Meridia later, and nails that alpha spark.
But yeah, and it is. Ooh, oh no.
Uh-oh.
So this isn't the end of the world that Professor School took all these hits. What that means realistically is that he's probably going to have to refill up the ship later on. Oh.
Well, he could also, I know, Sisreem almost got that down grab red tower. Prof is definitely low on energy. It's not critical. Like you said, he could do refill at the ship. And because it's a showcase, that might be what we see, so Prof can keep his route the same. But there is also the option to come back and do Gauntlet and Criteria PBs later at the end of the run before you go to Turian. So we'll see what Prof opts to do in these circumstances, because that's a significantly more damage than Prof would generally take in this section of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's just I know it might seem like, we are collecting 100% of the items, so we never really have to worry about resources or anything, but hundo is actually very resource management intensive, specifically in this phase of the run. Pretty much once we get past Gauntlet, we never really have to worry about energy again, aside from like if one of our runners makes a really big mistake and loses a lot of energy. But even still, at that point, it becomes all about how many supers our runners have, because supers basically equal time in this category.
Yeah, I was going to say, it doesn't seem to matter what category you're running in Super Metroid. Ooh, Fat Scott got a Fantoon in Rage. But it doesn't seem to matter what category you're down grab Red Tower by Guy Average. Jeez, everything's so good. Just
nice.
But it doesn't seem to matter what category you run in Super Metroid. You're always really tight on supers. And I actually think that power bomb management in hundo is something that's not talked about very often, but it does actually matter. I found myself in Lower Norfair with like one power bomb going into pre-wasteland. So there is definitely ammo management, but nothing that's going to be game ending.
Yeah, and we just saw Fat Scott fired his super missile. One missile too early. Fantoon had 100 life left, or 100 energy left after being enraged.
I saw June do this really cool jump on the wall, kind of like Alcatraz style morph off the wall to miss Fantoon's flames for enraging. I saw him do that the other day. It was really, really cool. And you can actually miss all the flames by doing that strat. Just probably take a bit of practice.
Yeah, and Professor Skull mentioning in chat, he decided not to go for a robot flush for health reasons. So right in just a second, you're going to see some robots in Professor School's path. It's actually possible to already get those in position to where they're not in your way, as you are going through that spiking room that we call Bowling Alley. However, it does cost a little bit of health. And so instead, Professor School, it's going to be Tight. I wonder if he will attempt to refill his reserve, or if he'll refill his reserves. No, he has enough to spark up. Okay.
Yeah, that one's not. That one only takes about maybe what 40 or 50. So Prof is good. I do wonder if he's going to go to the ship or because the gauntlet spark itself takes, I think, like around 230 energy. Would have enough in his reserves probably to spark up to criteria PBs, but there's no point in getting the PBs if you're not also going to do gauntlet. So we'll have to see what Prof decides to do. Meanwhile, yeah, go ahead, Glove.
Sorry, he did say in chat he's going to take the ship refill.
Nice.
Which is probably about I want to say 15-second time loss. So it's not the end of the world.
It also puts Prof in a position where he can do the route that he intends on running. So, let's say that he gets in like a really good groove and a really good pace. We don't want Prof to forget that, he hasn't done those PBs or that E-tank. So I definitely support that decision. And nice room from Fat Scott there. Susreem is done with Fantoon. Be kind of interesting to see if Susreem can catch up to Scott here with the troubles that he had earlier. Prof taking his save and Guy Average on Fantoon. I'm going to be really interested to see how much time, if any, Guy Average saved by doing that cleanup earlier. Nice X Factor on Fantoon.
Yeah, Guy Average is known to really like the X Factor strat. He's a really good old route runner, which is another route where X Factor is used. And you saw how quickly Fantoon died there. Of course, that was a fast pattern. That is about as good as Fantoon gets. You can't get it faster than that.
By the way, really nice criteria PB room by Professor School right there. And now we're going to see, one of the, if not the swaggiest spark of the game. It's definitely one of the longest sparks. So Prof is going to shoot that door open on the other side of the screen. He's just going to toggle some things menuing for later so that he can set up X Factors and have his Varia suit off for Turian. You don't need to know why right now, but check out that spark. Goes the length of many, many screens. And it makes Gauntlet, more or less tolerable that way. It's significantly faster than the traditional way of power bombing everything. No Teletubby Huggy today, though. Maybe we'll see Susreem go for it.
Yeah, Susreem or Guy Average, I know, are both capable of the back of Gauntlet spark.
Nice Sky Missile setup there from Fat Scott. Gets it there. I was a little bit worried that the jump wasn't going to be high enough, and really good super shot there. Scott cleaning up nicely. Prof doing a really good job making sure that he can get both of these backside Gauntlet items. Those are crumble blocks, so if you fall down one side, you're going to have to do that loop all over again. So Professor School avoids catastrophe there. Mr. Guy Average making me a little bit nervous in the spiky room of death. There's a reason we call that room the spiky room of death. But makes it out no problem. Not going to have any trouble getting this E-tank over here.
Look at the stream screen right now. So this is the ballistic attic strat. Oh, just barely misses it. But yeah, so the room that Susreem is, the room that Susreem is in right now is called Attic. It is one of the hardest rooms in the game to do optimally, or honestly even decently.
I wonder if MGA is
going to.
Oh, sorry. I wonder if MGA is going to use the grapple strat in Attic with the weird wraparound thing. I don't know. It's a fairly new strat that I saw him and Susreem messing with not too long ago. So you're going to want to pay attention to Mr. Guy Average's screen when he gets back up to Attic, because we could potentially see some really cool grapple shenanigans, just like we saw right there. Beautiful grapple deboost into the spiky room of death, and makes it out of there with less than a full E-tank of damage.
Grapple is a really great item, and there are actually a lot of ways to save just a little bit of time here and there with grapple, although they're almost always non-intuitive. And MGA is sort of known for finding really cool grapple methods to save time.
Not sure he got what he wanted right there, but
it's just an unfortunate byproduct of the kind of game that MGA plays, that if he's going to be going for optimal strats almost every time, it won't always work out well.
But see, I feel like Shiny Zenny is another runner who does that. So you can see that it pays dividends, you know, but your grinding is going to be just insane to be able to get to a point where you can pull off all those elite level strats in the same run. It's just absolutely ridiculous. These runners are incredible. And now we're going to see Professor School cleaning up Big Pink right now. This is a whole cleanup that Mr. Guy Average can completely ignore because he's already done everything except for Waterway. And if you're not sure what Waterway is, you'll see it when Professor School gets there. He's going to finish his Mission Impossible right here. He has a decent setup for it. Hopefully he can finish it. And man, I don't know about you, Glove, I'm enjoying the heck out of this. There are so many cool strats. It's almost hard to find time to talk about all of them.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah. Professor Skull struggling a little bit in this hopper room. Those hoppers really like to sort of jump inside of each other. So if you can get the right positioning, you can actually kill them all with a super and a single beam shot. However, it can be hard to accomplish sometimes.
Oh yeah, that room is truly beautiful. Quick drops from Sasreem in the Wreck Ship Reserve. Quick dropping is something that I think we don't talk about that often, but you know, over the course of a run like Hundo can save a significant amount of time. Quick drop is basically when you do a turnaround animation right before you hit a crumble block, and you don't like bounce up and then go through the crumble block. You quick drop, which is exactly why it's called a quick drop. But that's definitely, like, I think quick drops and door transitions and ledge grabs are all like little movement optimizations that runners can do that really separate the top runners from the mid-tier runners and the lower level runners as how they optimize their way through the run.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the basic idea behind quick drops is there are certain animations like turning around where while they're happening, you cannot lose fall speed. So if you are in that continual state of turning around up until the point that there's no floor beneath you, then you retain the higher fall speed you already had.
Yeah, and when we're talking about Kagos, that's kind of how it works too. Fat Scott being very aggressive at that backside of Gauntlet, pulls it off no problem. But yeah, Kagos also, you can do there's uninterruptible animations, and you can kind of just go through an enemy without taking knockback damage.
Yeah, and Sasreem is going to have a really scary attic here, or a really scary gauntlet here.
Jeez. Don't get grabbed by a yapping maw. Okay, he survives.
And he is going for the back of Gauntlet Spark here. Oh, just misses it. He literally got blue echoes early enough to break those blocks. He must have dropped the down input then.
Still, it was a valiant attempt. That is a seriously difficult spark to execute. And I think forever I'm going to become... Oh, no! Oh, God. What a save. No!
Oh, Sasreem.
Can he get back up on top? If he broke the crumble blocks low enough, he might be able to save it. No, he's just going to have to go around. So I wonder... It's probably the best bet would be to save that for later when you have Screw Attack and Space Jump. Mm-hmm. So it's definitely a time loss, but going back and getting it later when you have a stronger loadout of movement items will help kind of absorb the damage of time loss and that's what I was talking about before when Professor School was there. If you don't go right in the middle of those crumble blocks, you run the risk of not being able to get one of the missiles and thus having to repeat the entire gauntlet. Nice short charge from Professor School as we see our first glimpse of Meridia.
Oh, and that was a really nice moonfall down Green Bring Star from Sasreem.
Watch how quick Mr. Guy Average will catch up to Professor School right now, not having to clean up anything in Pink Brinstar. So it's not just routing, but also the fact that Mr. Guy Average is one of the best runners in the entire world for this game. And Prof looking like he's gonna make his way there, in the coming years with how well he's been doing and how he's been grinding. I think Koff will definitely reach that level in the next year or two here.
Absolutely. And one of the cool things about Super Metroid to me is there are so many different ways in which you can be considered a top runner. Like, you have someone like Sisrame, who is an incredible runner that so many people have not heard about simply because of the categories he runs. He's mostly on the category extension leaderboard, and known primarily for developing a category called Max Percent GT. Whereas
And
you have someone
capable
like...
of running 4 different variations of Max GT, all incredibly.
Absolutely. But then you compare that to someone like Guy Average, who has just run basically every category there is.
Yeah, but you see that a lot. You have a lot of people that basically are specialists in the Super Metroid community that only like to, specialize in 1 or 2 different categories. And then you have, kind of your more jack of all trades kind of Super Metroid runners, kind of like us, Glove and Mr. Guy Average. And then you have guys like Susream who spend their time on these really obscure and esoteric categories. Like, I believe Susream is one of the very few runners that has a dashless time on the boards.
Absolutely.
So, and Fat Scott doing a really good job with Hundo right here. Fat Scott primarily sticks to GT Classic, Hundo, and any percent, but a very, very strong runner in all 3 of those categories.
And very nice from Sisrame, doing a short charge to get the Speed Booster Blue Echoes quickly and actually using those to kill the Side Hopper.
It would be kind of neat if we could, put the screens like side by side and do a comparison of Guy Averages, Pink Brinstar cleanup versus like the other runners, and see what the difference the movement items make with what Sisream and Fat Scott have right now that Guy Average did not have when he did the rooms the first time. I can't imagine the difference would be too great, but very shortly here we're going to see the runners clear out Waterway, which we saw Professor School do earlier, and which Mr. Guy Average will have to save until very late in his run. Watering hole is really hard to do optimally. That's a good setup there for Mr. Guy Average.
Mm-hmm. And you see how much time Guy Average has made up over Professor School just on the back of movement. Guy Average is at this point like 3 or 4 rooms behind Professor School.
I got to say, this route comparison showcase is exceeded my expectations and how interesting it would be. This is really a very cool way to watch Hundo.
All right, Professor School setting up an X Factor here to dispatch of Batoon quite quickly. Gets an unfavorable pattern. There are only a few different ways Batoon can move around the room. That way is the hardest to get rid of him in 1 round. However, Professor School cleans it up quite nicely.
I like that pipe missile mock ball that Scott got. That's really just a pretty swaggy strat. Unfortunately, Professor School missing the door shot. Gets the down grab for the full half of the attempt, but misses the door shot. This might be where Guy Average takes the hypothetical lead over Professor School, but having to go back to Waterway, I would say even if Guy Average finishes Dragon first, they might be about time neutral by the end of this fight. I don't know. It's going to be tough. I don't know how long that Waterway cleanup is going to take Guy Average, but nails the full halfie and is now significantly closer to Professor School. And you're going to see Guy Average whip out that grapple beam to do just little quick farms like that, and that swaggy strat to pick up the missile right there, just saving frames that Professor School cannot because he doesn't have access to grapple beam right now.
Yeah, and on that subject, Mr. Guy Average did actually recently post a comparison showing that the route that he normally runs, Early Croc, which we're seeing Fat Scott running today, is actually competitive and potentially, with a huge asterisk, actually faster than the current world record route we see from Professor School. However, you do need to do all of those crazy grapple strats,
Prof
and also
having
have some
trouble.
nice RNG.
Yeah, Prof having trouble with short charge, and I can have still cleans up Dragon. I can certainly relate to that. Nice cleanup there from Mr. Guy Average, but my ability to short charge always seems to leave me in Dragon's Lair. So I feel you, Prof, on that one. And we are almost at near sync between Guy Average and Professor School. And I got to say, Glove, I think it would be really incredible to see if Guy Average can become competitive over the next year with that Hundo route. But knowing Guy Average, I don't know if he'll stay on that category long enough before something else catches his eye. And more swag to work on, more swag to build. But really great movement and really great run so far from all 4 of our runners.
Yeah, and Guy Average does have, we saw him just pop it, what we call a spike suit, which is basically a stored shine spark that you can get from Dragon's Lair by doing a very precise set of inputs.
Also to mention that grapple, seeing Mr. Guy Average open the door with grapple beam right there. Grapple beam opens the door faster than your beams can. So there are times where you need to use the grapple beam to open the door to accelerate into the room at the speed you want to. And we're going to get a nice blue keep from Mr. Guy Average here. Hopefully, well, not the soft lock special. That comes up a little bit later. But really, really good blue keep right there from Mr. Guy Average. And let's see if we get the Yo-Dog boost. Professor School going for the Yo-Dog boost, trying to do exactly the same setup that Mr. Guy Average just did. Setup looks good. Did not get the blue keep.
Yeah, he had a really rough room entrance, so it was possible, but it looked really rough.
Yeah, I find the Yo-Dog boost, trying to get the D-boost off of the bowl, is actually much more difficult than it looks.
So to answer a question in chat, did Guy Average skip that E-Tank? Yes, he did. He will be back for it later. We have 2 sand pits here that we need to collect. You can get the E-Tank either before the first sand pit or before the second. So he didn't forget about it, don't worry.
I think it kind of depends on when you want that energy refill.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so you can see Mr. Guy Average's nice entry there into Shack Tool. Mr. Guy Average's energy is a little bit low right now, so he can kind of optimize his energy by picking it up on the next loop around. And that is one of the very few route changes that really is time neutral. Oh, Professor School missing the setup for the ice clip. So this is another route specific trick, Glove, if you want to talk about the ice clip.
Yeah, so because Professor School does not have grapple, he cannot enter in the same way that Guy Average did. So he has to freeze this Puyo here, the enemy, in a specific way such that he can be standing on it crouched, stand up, and actually get through the blocks.
Now,
there are a couple places where we can ice clip enemies like this, but most notable for standard categories is probably this Puyo ice clip. And Professor School has been on record very recently as saying Puyo ice clip is free, so this is what he gets, unfortunately.
That's the kind of Super Metroid karma we all get. Susream nailing the full halfie. Now, if I remember correctly, this Puyo ice clip is very, very specific. Prof is going to try to take a D-boost off of the Puyo so that the Puyo can be frozen in the exact position it needs to for Prof to be high enough to clip through that block. And it's pretty specific with the positioning, even though there are a couple setups for it.
Oh, and it looks like Fat Scott has a good setup for full halfie.
Nails
it. Very nicely done. I know, unfortunately, we haven't drawn a lot of attention to Fat Scott's run, just as sort of the de facto Hundo category run. However, he has been really pulling off some nice tricks throughout all this.
Yeah, Scott is a very, very young Super Metroid runner, one of our younger community members, and just shows great discipline and practice, and really, very motivated member of our community. I'm really excited to see Fat Scott running this showcase, and Prof gets that ice clip, going into Shack Tool. Guy Average picking up the plasma beam. This is a nice plasma room. This room has been updated as recently as last year in the Hundo tourney. It's already done.
Yeah, very nice.
Oh, Scott missing the opening spark. Still nailing some of those X Factor particles, so at least has access to the use of the beam. When you use a special beam attack like X Factors, like Scott just did, if you do not connect those X Factors, you cannot use your beam until they are completely off the screen. Nice quick grapple backup from Fat Scott right there, showing that he knows a lot of the tech necessary to play very well. Prof going to get his spring ball, one of the arguably one of the best items in the game. And well known as MM2's favorite movement item. Shoutouts to MM2 NES cartridge Spring Ball aficionado, Kappa.
And there we do see Guy Average picking up the E-Tank he left beforehand. So
I like that.
No worries, we're hopefully not seeing any 99% today. And from Sisfream, a very nice blue keep. The strategy is really hard, a lot harder than it looks. It's actually kind of hard to get a mock ball underwater when you have space jump, because almost any time you repress the jump button, you'll just do another spring jump.
Yeah, some of the items in the game, like spring ball and space jump, are very finicky and cause a lot of irrational hate from some members in the community because of how the game expects you to use them. Like, I know the mechanics of space jump are significantly different underwater versus not in water. So that's an interesting feature. And yeah, spring ball can totally troll you completely. Oh, nice deboost from Susream and good quick drops there in the pants room. My gosh, these runners are just flying. Holy cow.
And that bomb looked like it's in good position for Guy Average. Oh, unfortunately. If you lay that bomb just right in the room where Guy Average is, you can actually get a little bomb jump so you don't fall down and have to spring jump back up to collect that missile pack. And
just to showcase the variety of Super Metroid, you can also spring ball jump over that gap too, but it's really finicky. And good double D-boost strat down there in the EVIR room from Mr. Guy Average. Really well done.
Oh, and I love that moonfall from Professor School. Anywhere that moonfall is viable in this game, I really do love to use it. It's one of my favorite tricks in Super Metroid, and in my opinion has sort of the best difficulty to coolness ratio in the game, where it's usually not that difficult to perform a moonfall, but it looks really incredible.
I'm going to agree with you.
Oh, and Professor School's Cack Alley room there.
Yeah, that was pretty great. I'm going to agree with you, Glove, but I'm still not using it.
Fair enough.
It goes with like the whole area rando thing. Like, I hate playing area rando, but I like watching area rando. So like, I hate using moonwalk, but I do enjoy a lot of the moonfall. I do enjoy a lot of the moonfall strats. Not gonna... Good, nice entry there for Sisream. Misses the bomb. Losing a little bit of time right there, but our runners are really cruising. The Meridia cleanup is almost over. Professor School has a little bit ways to go, and our runners are all actually pretty close. They're each separated by just a handful of rooms from one runner to the next. So this is a pretty interesting showcase. I'm starting to figure out like how much each runner still has, what they still have to collect, and it's, as of right now, it's a fairly well-matched race. This is cool. If you had to pick somebody who's ahead right now, my guess is Guy Average, but what would you say the order of runners would be right now if we had to rank them based on what we expect their finish time to be?
So...
Because Guy Average still has waterway to clean up.
Yeah, Guy Average should definitely still be ahead, though. I'm trying to think who would have second here. So Fat Scott, notably, does not have to go back to Cray's Lair. So he's going to gain a huge chunk of time as he's going down to Norfair.
Nice double deboost from Prof. Also, I'm thinking that Fat Scott might have a little bit of a lead on Professor School, not having done Proc because Prof still has all that. Well, actually, I don't know because you know what? Scott still has to make another whole loop around Meridia. So I don't know. It's pretty tight. We're gonna get another Yo Dog boost here from Susream. Nice little spring ball jump from Mr. Guy Average into the lavatory, and let's see if Susream can get the soft lock special. And
Oh, nice
no
done,
soft
Susream.
lock. Well done.
Yeah, so if it weren't for Susream having to redo Gauntlet, I would say Susream is in a really nice position.
Oh, I forgot about that. He does have to do that entire loop around Gauntlet. That could bring him much closer to the other runners as well. And that also would show you just exactly how good Susream's movement is, because I think he died, 2, maybe 3 times, and is still being very competitive. So there's hope for that route.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like any of the 4 routes we see here today, you can get a top level time with. It's just a question of whether you necessarily would want to put in a lot of extra effort for a route that is very uncommon and isn't necessarily faster.
One of my favorite things about Super Metroid is like, oh, you hate this room, you hate this strat? Well, guess what? You can still play this category and get a good time by doing something completely different. So you can kind of tailor the game to what strats you love versus what strats you hate, and still do really, really well.
Yeah, this game really does allow for so much innovation.
I bet you could tell a lot of runners without even seeing a name on screen. You could just watch their run and just their little optimizations, little idiosyncrasies. There are a lot of runners I would be like, I could know I'm watching that runner just by watching how they move through a ring.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is why we keep on playing this game. And why I really like sort of having these showcases with people who aren't necessarily the absolute top 4 runners. Is there's so many other incredibly talented runners who really deserve to have showcases like this, and who all have their own ways of optimizing the game.
Yeah, I would describe the Super Metroid community as very diverse and, not just diverse, but just really just great, just a great community altogether. This might be a good time, Glove, to remind everybody in chat, please follow everybody involved in this today. If you're a fan of Super Metroid, these are all household names for Super Metroid fans. So get to know these runners, check out their content. They all do something just a little bit different with Super Metroid, which just increases the overall awesomeness of the community and the game itself. Nice Kago from Guy Average there.
Oh, okay. And that's why Professor School was in Morph Ball. So for those crumble blocks, if you have Spring Ball and you're in Morph Ball form, you can just hold jump and you will never fall through them. You'll just keep hopping on top of them forever.
To piggyback on that comment, that would have saved Susream in Gauntlet and gets a really, really nice chronic boost. Both Guy Average and I think Prof nailed that chronic boost as well. Maybe it was Guy Average, but Guy Average, we see our first Ridley for today. So I would still say that Guy Average is still ahead of Professor School, even though he has to clean up at Waterway. And unfortunately, the ice clip is is probably largely the reason for that. But again, we'll see. I still have no idea how these routes are going to sync up, even based on how they're playing right now. I feel like in some ways it's closer than it appears.
Waterway is definitely going to be a shorter detour compared to Professor School having to do Professor School
It's definitely a shorter detour than Suzerain having to redo Gauntlet for sure. And
Mhm.
it's definitely quicker, like you said, than Professor School going back to Croc. However, you're going to notice when Prof does the Crocomire section that not only is the Croc fight going to be faster, but because you have space jump, screw attack, you just have more movement items. You can get through that area in about, I don't know, half the time, probably. It's kind of tough to compare times because if you ever want to know exactly how much time something saves, it really depends on a host of different things. It could be RNG, it could be on when you enter the room. I mean, it's faster only if it's done optimally. So pretty much everything in Super Metroid is kind of like, yeah, this strat might be faster, but maybe only under these certain conditions and not in this category. And it's complicated.
Yeah, that's very true. I think, especially with in Hundo specifically, we've been recently discovering um, that early Croc might not be nearly as slow as we thought. That the question of what category is faster might not mean anything actually.
Excuse me.
Like what you have to compare it to is really complicated. And Guy Average going for the Hodoruby special here, I don't think this is quite it. I think he'll break the first block. Oh, he did break the second set of blocks as well. Very nicely done. So
Yeah,
that trick
depends
is
on.
named the Hodoruby special after one of sort of the first ever top runner of this game, Hodoruby. Incredible runner, one of only two people to ever hold the world record for any percent, low percent, and low ice at the same time. And Fat Scott just missed that GT missile, so that's going to be a big time loss.
Oh my gosh, he did. I didn't even see how he entered in the room. Did he
He
was
was
he
going
not
for
in
space
training ball?
jumps, yeah.
Man, so that's a similar time loss to basically what Susream did at Gauntlet, although I feel like this GT missile is longer. I don't know. I could be wrong, but I feel like it's longer to get back to.
Yeah, it's really rough.
It sucks either way. That's sorry for bummer for Fat Scott. But we'll see Fat Scott do that loop around. Meanwhile, Professor School has taken out Ridley. So Shreem is going to basically do everything we saw Mr. Guy Average and Professor School do. Gets the Kago there. Nice grapple strats from Guy Average on the top right. Fat Scott going to make that loop around. I mean, this action is really, really tough to keep up with. But we're going to see right now how cleanups at the end of the game differ.
Mhm.
From all these runners. Professor School is going to go to Crocomire after he finishes up the Bubble Mountain collection phase that Mr. Guy Average is doing right now. Mr. Guy Average is going to do one of my favorite Hundo rooms. Maybe not my favorite to play, but one of my favorite to watch. When you exit this reserve area and you do the lay the power bomb, deboost off the waiver, fall down, just anyways, watch it. It's pretty spectacular if Guy Average can pull it off. This room right here.
Yeah,
Nailed.
I think I the first time I was trying to learn this Bubble Mountain room, I think it was multiple hours before I was able to do the entire room without making a mistake.
I'm lucky if I can get that 1 out of 10 times. I can do it, but it's not a high ratio of success.
And it does save just an absurd amount of time to be able to do Bubble Mountain optimally. Like,
Yeah,
there's no good way through that room other than what Mr. Guy Average showed us.
there are so many rooms that they put together in Super Metroid where it seems like the only reason to design the room that way is to slow down your movement. That's every room in Super Metroid is like, we're going to make it impossible for them to move fast through here. And then there's runners like Sisream and Guy Average that are like, really? Try me.
Yeah, absolutely, and it often feels almost like a Faustian bargain anytime we do find a really cool strat, like a really fast strat for one of those rooms, because it's like, oh, we finally found a way to do this room well, but you will have to pay for it with your hands and hours of practice.
I also think there's a lot of runners that even when new strats come out and it's proved that those strats are faster, again, it depends on just how good you are at doing, can you do the strat and still save time? Because a lot of the like quote unquote optimal strats, it's just for me impossible. So I just find a way to just like, all right, well, I can do this strat and this strat's faster for me.
Hmm. And here we see Guy Average pick up X-Ray. It's very convenient that X-Ray slots in so well at pretty much the end of the run, as it ruins your menuing as soon as you get it. Now, every time you hit item select, you've got an additional X-Ray to go through. And if you have X-Ray selected and you hold dash, you're not going to run. You're going to be just casually casing the joint.
I heard this category was the category that got Farrell to actually use his item cancel button, because it's virtually impossible to do any kind of menuing with any kind of haste if you don't know how to use item cancel in Hundo. Especially once you have X-Ray. Imagine doing Turian without an item cancel button and X-Ray. Exactly.
Yeah, so we're a few minutes away from it still, but the final section of the game, Turian, has maybe the most input-intensive rooms in the entire game.
So Fat Scott peppering in some supers there. If you're watching Fat Scott's screen, every 3 supers that Scott shoots is 2 full beam combo shots. So the DPS on super is much greater, not only because you can fire them faster, but supers do double damage on Ridley. So it's either 30 supers or 20 full beam combo shots. And you can do a combination of both to help make your Ridley time just a little bit speedier. And now we're going to see the route convergence between, not yet actually, but we're going to see the difference in where they are. And it looks like Guy Average is an entire Crockemeyer section and then some ahead of Professor School right now. So Mr. Guy Average will be the very first runner to enter Turian, and probably, I don't know, I want to say a solid maybe 3 minutes or more before anybody else.
Mm-hmm. Oh, very nice mothball.
That's
not to sound like a broken record, but these Retro Brain rooms are in contention for the hardest rooms to do optimally.
And just missed the E-Tank prop and gets pulled back. That's kind of like the most interesting thing to me about Hundo is some of the hardest rooms are some of the rooms you find earliest in the game, even though you didn't go here earlier. But it's also because of how good you have to be to clean up optimally why these rooms are so hard.
Yeah,
if
absolutely.
That makes sense.
As a general rule of thumb, the more movement items you have, the more options you have, but also the harder the optimal way to get through a room is.
First time I saw Shiny Zenny do the green grid or the blue grid return, like my jaw hit the floor. I'm like, who thought to string those rooms together? Like, how did that even happen?
Absolutely.
Oh, nice uppercut by Susreem. Oh my god.
Yeah, and I would like to point out Professor School did get the Croc spike suit. It's kind of like the Dragon spike suit, but much more difficult, as having Spring Ball makes the required inputs much more difficult. Rather than being able to press jump twice, you have to hit up and then jump. Which may not sound like a lot, but you have to press those 10 frames apart, so it's much easier to just mash jump.
It's not only that, but hopefully Prof can hold that spike suit all the way to X-Ray, which is his intention. Dude, look at that D-boost. Prof. Unbelievable. Gets that nice D-boost. Now, when you hold a spike suit, you have to be very careful. If you jump and it's not a spin jump, or if you're not holding angle down, you will blow that spark and you will lose it entirely.
Yeah, any set of inputs that would cause you to do a Shine Spark will cause you to blow that spike suit.
It looks like Susreem... Oh, you know what? No, Susreem has to do Gauntlet all over again. So honestly, Susreem and Prof could be about time neutral, our prof could be just a little bit ahead. So this is going to be interesting to see how Prof and Susreem, what time they enter G4 together. And Fat Scott just trailing a little bit behind our other runners. But, that said, nice spring ball jump from Professor School. Fat Scott is having a really, really good run. So all the runners are performing very well. Just a few slip ups. Prof had his trouble with the ice clips. Susreem has trouble with some hell runs. But for the most part, our runners are putting on a heck of a showcase for all of us. So, please continue to cheer and chat. Like I said, I can't see chat, so I don't know what's going on there. But I've enjoyed this completely. Oh, Susreem going for reverse slinky. Glove, you might want to talk right now. I can't stop myself.
Yeah, so Susreem was going for a trick called reverse slinky, which is basically a set of really tight spring ball jumps. It's such a difficult trick that even the top runners will only get it maybe 5% of the time, if that. Oh, and just a beautiful showcase of Blue Bryn here by Susreem.
I love watching Susreem because when I watch Susreem, I see, are we going for it? Oh, I thought Guy Average was going for soft poops. That was still a very, very, really good setup right there. Just watching runners like Guy Average and Susreem, I think they have taken the game just so far beyond what strats everybody else is doing. Like, both of those guys are just really big brain thinkers of just different ways to optimize rooms, and we're seeing a really great showcase of that today.
Absolutely. I love, anytime you have a room that has a so-called YOLO strat, and then that strat becomes the norm. That just makes me...
Does Prof still have a spike suit?
Let's go. Well, not anymore. Very nicely done. But yeah, anytime we see a YOLO strat evolve into just the de facto strat that people do, I think that's pretty incredible. And Guy Average and Susreem are both pretty notorious for that.
Yeah, there are a handful of runners that do runs where they literally just go for everything and tend to make everything. So we got basically a G4 entrance at around, 1:11:28 for Mr. Guy Average. So still a sub 120 pace with the Moondance route. Very, very hot run right there from Mr. Guy Average. I wonder what his PB is with Moondance, or if he's even bothered to put up a time.
Yeah, I'm not sure. As mentioned before, both the Moondance route and the earliest Croc route, so the routes that Mr. Guy Average and Susreem are doing, are not generally run by pretty much anybody.
Hey, this could be world record route for both of them right now.
That's certainly possible. I'm not sure anybody on the Hundo board has a PB specifically with the route that Susreem is doing. I think at least one person does with the route that Mr. Guy Average is doing.
I think I might want to try the Hell Run route just for kicks, because some of the strats look a lot of fun. I'm going to leave the Moondance route to all of you, since I will not use Moonwalk.
Absolutely. And watch this Metroid Room 3 from Guy Average. Oh, no! He just lands a little bit short of that platform. Ideally, you are actually able to land on that platform and then spring ball jump your way to the end of the room.
And Susreem is remembering to go back and do the gauntlet return. So it looks like he's going to set up for a wraparound shot. And I don't have audio, so I can't tell if he got it. Looks like he did. So, oh no, he wants to go for this strat. Come on. Yes, please do it. Oh, soft poops in the house. Yes.
See, this is why Susreem saved this missile pack for the end. He intentionally messed up those crumble blocks.
He almost got the Teletubby Huggy.
Did Mr. Guy average? I think he's fine. Okay,
Yeah, he
he was
didn't get
very
grabbed.
close
That
to
was
getting
close.
baby slow down there, which would have lost him quite a bit of time.
Samus in your hitbox. Fat Scott having trouble picking up that ceiling E-Tank because the hitboxes in this game are ridiculous. All right, so what time? So Susreem is roughly 3 minutes behind Mr. Guy average. But Susreem is our second runner to enter Turian. And I don't know about you, Glove, but I always get a little bit nervous when Susreem is in Turian in a category that does stand-up, based on my experience watching the extension category tournament.
So Susreem has unfortunately lost a few runs to stand-up, especially with the unique way that he has often liked to do it, where he takes off both Varia Suit and Gravity Suit. Most runners take off Varia Suit to make stand-up easier, as Mother Brain's damage for the catch-up beam at the end of the game is based on whether you have Varia Suit. It actually does not care, or excuse me, Rainbow Beam does not care about whether you have Gravity Suit. It just cares whether you have Varia.
Yeah,
So
Mother
you
Brain.
can see here, rather than taking 300 Mr. Guy average did not disable Varia. Okay.
He's got it damaged down below 100 energy or lower to initiate the next cutscene. If Mr. Guy average did not damage down fast enough, then Mother Brain would enact another Rainbow Beam to try to bring you down at 100 or lower. Yeah, that was really heartbreaking watching Susreem lose a huge PB in max GT code because of bad math at the stand-up glitch, but looks like Guy average is having no problems there. Now, for stand-up, you have to be off the ground at 2 key points in order to not get locked down to the floor. Now, you can use X-ray beam and break out of that sequence there, but you'll see right there that kneeling animation that Samus does. If Mr. Guy average was on the ground during that kneeling animation, he'd get stuck to the ground and would have to use X-ray to get unstuck, which would slow him down a little bit for the stand-up. But this particular glitch enables us to damage Mother Brain before the Mother Brain 3 cutscene is completely done, or the Mother Brain cutscene is done. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed it. What happened? Did we miss? Oh, missed baby skip.
Susreem almost got the spring ball baby skip.
Heckin'. Unfortunately, does not have crystal flash ammo, but you know.
Yeah, so the baby skip that Susreem was going for there is, to my knowledge, the fastest way to do baby skip. Only really available in Hundo and is just obscenely hard.
Well, Max GT you could do it as well, and GT
That's
Flat.
true.
But yeah, for the most, it's really, most categories do not get spring ball because of how far out of the way you have to go for it. So that is definitely an exclusive to just a small handful of categories. Mr. Guy average putting up quite. I mean, this is an unbelievable hundo time, by the way. I would actually say that a year ago, this would be better than Mr. Guy average's PB when he started the hundo tournament. I think he had a 118 or a 119, and using a completely different route really shows how much Guy average has improved over the last year. That he can do a meme route and still put up like quite a sick time, like top 30 time, maybe top 20 time. Unbelievable. Memeing his way into the hearts and souls of all of us.
Yeah, unfortunately, Mr. Guy average didn't have quite enough speed to get Blue Echoes to kill those space pirates. Loses a little bit of time. Still going to be a 118 though. Very nice.
Unbelievable. Moon Dance and still about 6 minutes, about 5.5 minutes faster than me. Nice baby skip from Professor School right there. Avoids the baby grab. Official time for Mr. Guy average, a 118.29. GG to Mr. Guy average, proving that Moon Dance route is superior. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, time for everyone to switch.
This is the definitive proof of which route is the fastest. Kind of hoping we can get our runners in here for an interview after everybody finishes, but you know, it looks like Susream is going to finish second. Maiming a little bit there, doing stand-up, and then followed by Professor School and Fat Scott. Hopefully they can pull off the end of the runs without a hitch. And we're seeing some very good times from everybody, and hopefully at the very end we'll see that wonderful and you know, that wonderful 100%. So we know we picked up everything, and we had a wonderful showcase for all of you today.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't notice anyone missing any items, but certainly when there are 4 runs on screen, it can be a little bit difficult to tell.
Yeah, and even the items that they did miss, they did go back and get.
Oh, an unfortunate baby skip failure there from Fat Scott. Baby skip can be a really rough trick sometimes. No matter who you are, every now and then you'll miss it. Alright. Yeah, and there we see the Rainbow Beam doing 600 damage to Professor School as he disabled Varia earlier. And I want you to pay special attention to Professor School's stand-up. Professor School is by far one of the best runners at stand-up. He has put a lot of work into making his stand-ups optimal.
I actually would say that Professor School won a GT Classic tournament match specifically because of how he did his stand-up.
Oh yeah, that's true. He's definitely an advocate for people learning all the ins and outs of stand-up, just because there are a lot of intricacies to it that can lose or save you a quarter of a second, even as much as a second for some things.
Well, I can't see chat gloves, so I'm hoping that chat enjoyed this show just as much as you and I did. I thought this was quite a spectacular display of just the variety involved in a Super Metroid game, and just the diversity of how you can play this game is just, we're going to get an animal save here from Susream. Susream is a known lover of the animal save. See if we get just the standard animal save here.
Very nice. Can't say I agree with it, but I respect his dedication. He will save the animals in every run.
See, I only save the animals to punish myself for a terrible run.
Fair enough. And there, Susream does finish with what looked like a 122.03.
GG.
Very nicely done. Kind of interesting that the way it played out. Oh, Professor School going for that blue bomber.
I saw Mr. Guy Average get blue. Oh, I love it when you get that spark through the door. It just freezes you in place. Did Susream get the blue bomber? I know that.
I didn't see. But yeah, it is kind of funny that the two non-standard routes were the first and second to finish.
That is pretty interesting. Although I got to say, Prof did lose a significant amount of time doing the ice clip. You know, but it's always difficult when you're putting on a marathon run. You know, you have more viewers than you would have in a typical run. There's a little bit of added pressure there. You know, you want to put on a good show. You want to do everything really well, and there's a lot of variables that are in play that wouldn't be when you're just typically running the game. So I think just the fact that they all came out and put together this showcase for us, I'm really proud of all the runners. I think they did a really great job. Prof somehow missing all of the steam. How did you walk? Prof walked to the ship and missed all of the steam. That might actually be the rarest thing I have seen in this run.
that was ridiculous. GG though, really nicely done. I know Prof is very hard on himself, isn't necessarily happy with this run, but I do think he did a really good job showing off so much of what makes Lake Croc a really neat run.
Yeah, and I definitely want to thank the Super Metroid community for not only coming out and supporting this run, but for submitting so many runs to SNES Super Stars that I feel like our community is very well represented in this speedrunning marathon, speedgaming marathon. So this is not the last of the Super Metroid. I know we have. I mean, there's actually if somebody could post the schedule in chat. I know we have a low ice run later tonight. I know there's an RBO run coming up in a couple days. There's GT Classic run. There's a beamless run. I know that Linkomeister and Azure are doing a bunch of ROM hacks, Super Metroid ROM hacks. So a lot of really awesome. There's some any percent races, classic any percent races. I think there's even a co-op 69% run. So just really exciting Super Metroid content, and thanks to SpeedGaming and SNES Super Stars for including so much Super Metroid in their SpeedGaming lineup. I am super hyped about it all.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it really does a great job of showing just the absolute diversity of categories within this game and how many different ways there are to play Super Metroid. And GG to Fat Scott, finishing with a 125.08. And with that, all of our runners have finished. Hopefully we'll be able to get 4 confirmations of 100%.
Yep, so far we know that Mr. Guy Average has a valid run, so we have seen what I would expect would be the world record Moondance route and the world record for the Hell Run route. So GG to both Susream and Mr. Guy Average, legends in their own right, and GG to Professor School and Fat Scott for, keeping the variety, keeping it exciting, and thank you for asking us to do comms today. It was really an absolute pleasure, Glove. Anytime I get a chance to, hear you talk about Super Metroid, I really enjoy it. You have a wealth of knowledge and a good way of delivering it. So I was really happy to be here with you this morning.
Appreciate it. And I would like to say the same for you. It's always a joy to get to commentate alongside you. Hopefully, I'm not sure if people want to come back in for... looks like we are joined by Fat Scott now. GG.
GG. Ugh.
Oh, Scott, you did a great job. Anybody could fall through at GT Missiles. I think you did a great job, and I was really, really pleased that I was here to watch the run. It was great to see you participate in a marathon, and I think this is your first marathon, right, Scott?
Yeah.
So well done. GG.
Awesome. And now looks like we do have all of the runners here, so GG's as well to Guy Average. We're still missing Prof, but GG's to Guy Average and Susream. Really nicely run.
Thanks.
Thanks, GG guys. GG MGA.
GG. Yeah, GG's.
Yep, and there's Professor School now. GG. I know there were some frustrations, but it was still a really cool showcase of what Lake Croc can do.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
GG. My moon dance was pretty sketch. I felt like it took 10 seconds too long, and I was like, what happened? Did I mess up somewhere? I was so nervous.
Yeah, like a 90-second segment. That's probably all right. It's probably
better to take 10 seconds too long than to have to repeat it.
Right. Yeah.
MJ, what was your final time, if I may ask? I think it's displayed.
1:18:29.
Oh dang!
Jeez.
Really nice run. Really nice run.
Yeah, I did let's see, let me think about the 3 main things I did wrong. So I picked up the aqueducts items in the wrong order, which cost me time because I screwed it up. I fell through GT missiles. I enraged Antoon. Yeah, that's about it.
I love that we're like, let's look at the 3 things I did wrong. There were about 700 things each of you did right. So definitely a higher proportion of solid movement, solid display of tech than anything that went wrong. And you know, Sisream had a little trouble at Hell Runs, Prof had a little trouble with Ice Clip, and Fat Scott had a little bit trouble with GT Missiles. I just look at it as that we got to spend a little bit more time together. So y'all did wonderful, and this was a spectacular showcase, and I think it got the job done that we set out to do today.
Thank you. I think well, MJ kind of pulled ahead, but I think the three of us, the other three of us, I think we had a reasonably close race. I think the other three. So I think yeah, the comparison. Hopefully it worked out for the showcase.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a really cool. You know, I think sort of the nature of these runs is that we didn't see full convergence pretty much until Turian. But it was cool then to see it all coming together.
Yeah. I was hoping maybe someone could get close to MGA because his route converges literally at Turian. So I was hoping maybe someone could be close to him so that we could see the dramatic convergence. But MGA was too good.
Yeah, there's all those grapple strats.
I think if you hadn't died and hadn't had to reroute Gauntlet at the end, I think it would have been within 30 seconds between you and Guy Average. But I got to give you the shout out, Sisream. We are thinking that you purposely missed that Gauntlet missile because you wanted to showcase the worst named strat in Super Metroid with soft poops.
Oh yeah, well the one I did is called Hard Poops, but that was lucky actually. It's even worse of a name.
Yeah, did you get it? Did you get Hard Poops?
Hard Poops, yes, thankfully.
Wow, nice.
Well, Max GT just blesses me.
Yeah.
What's the difference between hard and soft poops? That I don't know.
Soft, you do the wraparound, then you do the wraparound. When you do the soft poops, but hard poops, you don't do the wraparound. You just try your best to space jump down there. Well, yeah, but that's...
Yeah, you have to shoot the door before you start mock balling.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, that is harder for sure. And you almost nailed the Teletubby Huggy, so, you know,
yeah, both times I got the platform broken, and but first time I missed the charge, second time I shine sparked into like the geography, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But yeah,
my
run had three deaths as well as my run had 3 deaths as well as a gauntlet reset, and all my 3 deaths happened in the speed booster hell run, which is very rare for me to die, unfortunately. Well, yeah, but it is what it is. Unfortunate.
The one good thing I got out of this run is I got like 15 seconds worth of sum of best, so that's good at least.
Ooh, very nice.
So now it's in the 120 range at least, which is good.
That's GG, man. Prof got the X-ray spark.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so that was definitely a lit moment in Prof.
That means Prof probably pretty much got all the defining tricks in for his route, the clip and the X-ray spark.
I got all the tricks, and I got Puyo Ice Clip eventually.
You sound thrilled about it, Prof. Nah, I know that feeling. It's kind of like, well, did you listen to the comms while you were?
Nope, I did not.
No, okay, then there's a little bit that a little pat that glove threw out there for that moment. I won't spoil it for you.
Okay, am I getting trolled? Do I actually want to listen to this?
Yeah, I need to listen to the commentating too.
Yeah,
I didn't listen to it while I was running.
Yeah, I just recalled somebody saying that Ice Clip was free.
Yeah, someone said that. I think I heard that too.
Ice Clip is free. Well. I just all right.
No, it was an absolute pleasure to be here for everybody. So everybody stay tuned. We have a lot more Super Metroid action coming up. I do not know what run we have next, just for just what basic run we have coming up. But for me, I'm good, and thank you everybody. Any runners have anything else they want to say before we finish the show?
I just want to say thanks a lot to Guy Average, Scott. Well, Prof isn't here anymore, but thanks a lot to Prof because I had to bring this race up to them, and they just very graciously took the challenge. And MGA even spent a lot of his extra time just practicing this moon test route that he doesn't even normally run. So that was all for a showcase. So I really appreciate all the runners coming together, all the commentators coming together, and SpeedGaming and Fiesel for restreaming this race. It was my pleasure to run, and I hope you guys enjoy the next runs.
Even if I didn't play as well as I hoped to, I definitely was happy that I joined, and I was glad that I played. And if someone tells me that they want me to play more Hundo, I'm going to play more Hundo. So, yeah. All right. And thank you for commentating, and I'm looking forward to the next races.
Yeah, absolutely. I believe our next race, that is Super Metroid specifically, should be the low ice race at around 8-ish.
It's going to be between King of the Hill and Azure, and depending on if I get home in time, I might be back for commentary.
Awesome. Well, be sure to tune in for that. In the meantime, be sure to follow.
Sorry, Glove. The multi-Troid 69% run is going to be right before the low ice run. So that's going to be like, approximately like 7-ish Eastern Daylight Time. So sorry, and this will be the last time I interrupt you today, Glove. Thank you.
No worries. So be sure to tune into that beforehand for a nice Super Metroid double feature. But in the meantime, be sure to follow all of our runners. Go follow Sisraim, go follow Guy Average, go follow Fat Scott, and go follow Professor School. They all put out some really awesome Super Metroid content. And if you would be so kind, follow the broadcast team as well. I've been Glove, joined by Kev Nastix. And with all of that out of the way from us within the Super Metroid community, we'll see you next mission.
See you next mission.